One Man and His Trees. Author's note. My father used to tell me what he had experienced during the political movements in China from the 1950s to the 1970s. He passed away months before I came to the United States. It is a great pity that he had not written down his stories by himself, even though I had asked him to do so after he retired from a high school in 1979. I assumed that my father had been reluctant to start this writing plan partially because conjuring up the memories that he hid deep in his heart only caused bitterness to his mind. Another potential reason was that he thought honest writing would be a betrayal to the Chinese Communist Party. He had been unwilling to do this throughout his whole life, even though his communist belief had been shattered again and again through those political movements. When standing in front of my father's grave long ago, I felt a sense of responsibility to tell the stories of him and his generation to the world, as the bitter experience of many common Chinese in that era also belongs to the whole human history. Thus, I have been motivated to write this book based on both my father's narration and my own scattered memories in those early years of the Cultural Revolution, when I was still a child. China has achieved great growth in economy for the past 2 decades, but at the expense of damaging the environment. More than half-century ago, the ambitious top Chinese leaders also attempted to develop the economy fast but in a highly unreasonable way during the so-called Great Leap Forward movement, which turned into a catastrophe to both nature and the human world. I hope my writing will refresh the memory of that period. Instead of being forgotten, that part of history should provide a lesson in reminding all developing countries of the importance in environmental protection while they aim for more healthy growth. I hope this is the best way to memorize my parents, and that my humble writing will bring them more peace in heaven. Book Introduction. One Man and His Trees. In the Civil War late 1940s of China, a tree had protected a man by blocking bullets shooting at him, and many years later the man's attempt of keeping a piece of that tree became an evidence of his crime on a public criticizing meeting. The man tried to start an afforist plan in order to recover the environment destroyed in the Great Leap Forward movement. A couple of rightists suffering persecution had fallen in love and lived still with a positive attitude in spite of all the hardships and unfair treatment they received. A teacher with bad family background had to act against his conscience in order to survive in the Cultural Revolution, but his uncontrolled lust led him to seduce a girl. The girl had later become his daughter-in-law under an arranged marriage he dealt with his son. A young man took an active part in the Cultural Revolution to show his boundless loyalty to the CCP leader Mao, and this loyalty had eventually cost his young life. A shaken belief in communism, tireless efforts for repairing the destroyed nature, true love, heartless betrayal and weird relationship among a father, a son and his defiled wife. This book tells all these Chinese stories happened in that disastrous era of the mid-20th century in China.